So, why is divine flow so important? And anything that you do when you're in divine flow, it goes easier. I don't know of anybody who doesn't want life to be easier, but I know divine flow, if you're into creating any form of creativity, any form of spiritual growth you decide that you want or that you desire that you want, it's important to be in divine flow. So, I want to share with you a little bit about my story of how I actually started to do this whole process of getting in the divine flow before I actually paint, before I create spirit guides. Because when I first started painting, it wasn't that I started to paint with the idea when I first went to a lesson that, oh, I want to create spirit guides right away. You know, I started taking lessons and thought, I want to create a picture of Yogananda where when people look at him, they feel his vibration. And it started from there. But the thing that I want to talk to you about too in this divine flow is trusting the process, the journey that you're on is the very journey that you need to step into your next step, to have the growth that you want, to become the true you know, following that true heart's desires and acting on what will lead you to your purpose and becoming fulfilled in what you are being, doing, and having. And so when I started taking art lessons, I don't know about you, but I'm someone who carried a lot of tension in my body. I still have tension in my body, but it's so much better than it used to be. And so I used to go and I'd be painting at my art studio, you know, painting my paintings. And across the room, my teacher would yell, Deepa, relax, relax, Deepa. You have to be relaxed to create. And I was like, oh, okay. Had no idea that relaxation was important for creativity. And so I thought, well, what can I do to relax? I'm going to um, bring in some of my yoga because I'm certified as a yoga teacher. Um, and I went to it not to be a teacher, but so much for my own understanding that I could have deeper understanding and be able to live it better. So I thought, okay, let me start going uh, uh, before painting, before painting, let me start doing some of my spiritual practices. And so I started doing a prayer and I started doing some pranayama, if you know what that is. It's they're breathing techniques. And I started doing some yoga postures. And that way, when I started to paint, I would be relaxed. And so one of the prayers that I did was a prayer to Divine Mother, to move my little self aside and let that great divine flow to come through me, because I wanted to be guided by the spirit guide that I had or that I wanted to create. So once I started doing the stuff with Yogananda and I thought, okay, I'm here to create these spirit guides, I was always like doing a prayer before to get into the divine flow and to also relax. So I would do that prayer. Now I'm going to be doing some things to show you some of the things I did. But when I did them, I was always facing my spirit guide portal that I was going to create. I'm going to face you today so you don't see the back of my head. Okay. So I would start with a prayer. It does not have to be a fancy prayer or big, long prayer, just a prayer that has a heartfelt meaning for you that helps you to start to let go. Now, what are you letting go of? You're letting go of when you're creating art and even when you want to grow spiritually, because they have so much in common in creating art and growing spiritually, in that you want to let go of that judgmental voice, that critical voice that says to you, that's not good. Oh, that looks ugly. Oh, I'm not very good at this. You know, any of those kind of statements, you're wanting to let go of that ego voice that is judging you on whether you're good or bad. And most of the time, what I hear with creative people is that they think they're bad. Okay. In fact, when you're creating something, there's always what I call an ugly stage, especially in paintings, that you have to really stop that voice. So when you're in that divine flow, that voice doesn't come up. And also, even if you're not in it 100%, let's say you're in that divine flow, maybe 50 to 70%. Because, if you were completely in it, you'd be like God realized, enlightened, okay? But let's just say you're like in it where you're sensing what to do. Because when I do the divine flow, I get out of my head of what I think is the right thing to do. And I follow my heart and that sensation of what to create. So like my heart chakra angel up here, when I got the vision to paint her, I first had this vision and I got out the canvas and I put, kind of where I was going to paint things. And I started to paint the background. And then all of a sudden I was like, I get this pull, this yearning, this feeling, this pulling me to paint it differently than what I saw. And I did not get another vision. I just was like, I'm not supposed to do that. I'm supposed to, and I started painting with the paintbrush of just allowing it to come out and be created from that pull of what I was supposed to do with the paintbrush. And that's what divine flow can do for you, whether it's with creating spirit guides, okay, or creating music because you're a musician, or creating woodwork, or in your spiritual growth, because maybe in your growth you're wanting to be able to come from a heartfelt place, or follow your intuition, or go for like whatever's missing in your life, because you have a reason why you're on this planet. And often people don't go for it because they're being ruled by their brain of what's logical and practical than what's that divine flow. See, divine flow, you've heard all kinds of creative people say, oh, I was in the flow. You hear that even with athletes. Oh, I'm in the flow. That flow is divine presence, whatever you call it, whether it's divine presence, God, Buddha, Allah. It's when you're in that place of oneness and you can just sense and feel like you don't even have to think about it. You're just doing the very thing or being the very thing that you're here to be. And it's just happening. Click, 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 click. And it just feels like it feels right, right? So if you're watching this at some point, and you get what I'm saying, please share it in the comments. Like maybe a time when you were in the flow, and how do you get back in that? Like people sometimes feel like the flow just will randomly come. And I tell people, no, you get to actively create that flow. Okay. You get to actively choose to get in it because it's getting in it. Okay. It's not just, like, oh, well, today it just happened to happen. Oh, and I was lucky to get it. It's like if you intentionally put forth that energy of your attention, it's kind of funny. You want to have the intention to put your attention on the divine flow. So, so it's the intention, which is the prayer. You want to do a prayer to put your attention on that divine flow. So that's why my prayer was, divine. I start my prayer with Divine Mother, Heavenly Father, Great Spirit of the Universe. Now, you can start it whatever way that works for you, but that's how I start it. And then I go into, let me move this little self aside and let thy great divine flow through this body, mind, and soul. So I invite you to try a prayer right now and see if you just notice a little subtle energy shift when you do the prayer. And I love it, if you're watching this live or watching it in the replay, tell me if you do. So take that moment, check in, put your hands in prayer position or however you pray, and use the invocation that you use, and then put in that part I said. So I'm going to do it here again. Divine Mother, Heavenly Father, Great Spirit of the Universe, I invoke thy presence, that I move this little self aside, and now let thy great divine flow through this body, mind, and soul. What did you sense? What did you feel? I'd love to hear it in the comments, okay? Now, that's not all you do. There's more to it that I do. So I do that prayer, so that's the intention of my attention, that my attention is on being in the divine flow. And if you've watched any of my videos about manifesting and being able to really get into your purpose, your attention is one of the most important things, right? So after I do the prayer, now again, I'm facing my spirit guide portal the whole time I do it. I bring a bell in, okay? Because I'm really bringing more of my attention to the divine. So the reason why I bring in a bell is because I went to a pilgrimage many years ago in India and learned that in many of the Hindu temples and such, that they ring a bell, or they do it actually at their home too. They have put a bell up and they ring it when they enter the space to say, hello, God, I'm here, I'm home. I'm like inviting that energy in. So again, your intention and putting your attention on inviting the divine presence in. So again, now you don't have to have a Tibetan bell. You may have a ringing bell. You may have some other kind of bell. You may have a bell on your phone that you go dong or on a meditation app. You get to choose. Now, I love Tibetan bells because one of the great advantages when you have the bell yourself is you can feel the resonance in your own body. Because when you ring that bell and you say, hello, God, I'm here, it's like saying, hello, God, I'm here within yourself when you feel it resonating within you. So I'm going to do that too. Now, since you may probably, you most likely do not have a bell with you right now, listen to the bell and feel the vibration. Now, hopefully it will come through. Sometimes when I have a thing that says they take a background noise off, it doesn't ring and you can hear it, but I'm hoping you can hear it here, okay? So take that moment. Now I'm going to ring the bell. And even if you can't hear it, I want you to say, hello, God, I'm here. And turn your energy inward to feel that energy, okay? Hello, God, I'm here. Just acknowledge what you notice. If you feel a slight sensation difference again. And then what I do is I light. Now I use a ghee lamp. If you've never don't know what a ghee lamp is, there's a wick and there's actually ghee in there that you can do. Now you don't have to use a ghee lamp. I love having a ghee lamp because it really, if you want to go get one, you can get the little ghee lamp at any Indian store. They sell them. I've never seen one that doesn't carry one. And then you buy the wicks too, and you put it in there and you just put ghee in it. It's really simple. But I love the energy. So here's the thing. When you want to get in divine flow, it's all about the energy, right? You can't see the divine with your naked eye, with your your physical eyes, right? So it's about what are you sensing? So I like this candle because it brings this energy that I can sense there's a difference, okay? Now, some people like to light the candle first, the ghee lamp first, that's fine. I usually will do the prayer first, ring the bell, and then I light the ghee lamp. Of course, this one's being stubborn about lighting. There we go. So then I light this ghee lamp and I do like a little arati to my spirit guide portals. Okay. There we go. Can you hear me now? Hopefully you can hear me. I got the sound working again, I think. So yeah, it looks like it's working. So sorry about that. I thought it was all charged up and somehow it went out. But thank you for letting me know, Amira. Maybe you left, but in Cygnus, hopefully you can hear me again now. I don't know where the sound went out, so I'm going to go ahead and where was I? Oh, I was at the Palo Santos. So I'm assuming that maybe it went out somewhere along that place. So I'm going to talk about the ghee lamp and the Palo Santo again, since you couldn't hear me. So I talked about how I do the Palo Santo, and I will clean my own energy and then the energy of the spirit guide. Okay, so I do all those different things to get me in the right place. And then what I do is I actually do a few yoga postures. Now, I'm not going to do yoga postures here. Okay, now I usually will do the jackknife pose and the uh, backward bend just to kind of get my energy in the right place. But the one I'm going to recommend and I'm going to show you that is really easy to do. Okay, it's basically the breath of joy, because I don't know about you, but when I do the art, the joy just, oh, thank you, Cygnus, that you can hear me now. I appreciate that. So, yeah, I don't know what happened. I charged it up, but somehow it went dead. So, anyway, I want to show you this is something else to do before I start painting, okay? And once I've done all those things I've talked about, is I then do the breath of joy, which is inhaling through the nose, and then as you interlock the fingers down, so you inhale, and then you exhale. You bring the hands out. So when I'm inhaling, I'm breathing and inhaling the energy of joy. So inhale, the energy of joy, and exhale, allowing that joy to expand into every fiber of my being. And then I inhale up, and then I exhale down again. So it's, and I inhale front again. So I inhale, drawing in the energy of joy, and exhale, expanding that joy into every fiber of my being, and inhale the joy up, and exhale my hands down, allowing that joy to expand into every fiber of my being, and then inhale my hands up in the back, and exhale them forward. And I do that about 3 or 4 rounds to connect with the joy within myself, to get my shoulders to relax, to get my jaw to relax. I don't know where you hold tension, but it's my jaw and my shoulders for me. I'd love to hear where you hold tension or if that affects you. But yeah, I do that. And then I'll go now, and I check in with myself, like when I'm painting, with how am I feeling? So I'm being very aware of that talk that goes on in my own head. I'm sure you have it, right? We all have it. That self-talk that you do. So are you having a lot of it while you're creating? Now, it could be any kind of art or anything that you're doing in your work, or your job. Like, what's the talk that's going on in your head? Now, when you're creating spirit guide portals, that talk is really important. Okay, if you're writing a book to enlighten people, to help them grow spiritually, or you're writing a song that you want to help to uplift people. If you're thinking, this is crummy, this is crappy, I don't like this, then it won't have the same vibration as if you're like in the flow of just like, I feel the call to do this next. I feel the call to do this next. I feel the call to do that next. Okay, so you want to pay attention to that voice. Cygnus, thank you for sharing. Yes, your jaw too. Yeah, that jaw seems to be a lot of people where they kind of grips them, huh? Yeah, so it's that breath of joy. If you actually really focus on the breath, Cygnus will help relax the jaw. So it's really about just the exhales through the mouth, inhale up through the nose, and then exhale through the mouth. So it can really help to relax the jaw. So, so once you start doing whatever act you're wanting to do, then it's the awareness. That's the thing. One of the reasons why I recommend meditation for so many people, because the big blocker for most people, I guess is a good word to say, is that voice in the head that most people feel like they can't control. Do you feel that way? Do you ever have that voice go on? Oh, sickness, good. I'm glad you're going to try that. I'm curious. Does anybody, like that voice? Does that voice stop you? Well, that voice is the very thing that knocks you out of divine flow. When that voice starts going, "Oh, that doesn't look good. Oh, this is looking ugly." So if that starts to happen when I'm painting, I know I've dropped out of divine flow. And what do? I go back. I do maybe the breath of joy that I just showed. I may do a little prayer again to move my little self aside and let the divine flow come through me. I'll even say for me, because I'm a painter, let that divine flow flow through this body, mind, and soul, and out my arm and through the paintbrush, because I want it to like be guiding what I'm doing. And so that divine flow, it's until you're enlightened completely, right? It's a practice of noticing when you're out of it and when you're in it. And when you're in it, you know it usually when you're really in it. And it can be in anything. Like one time, years ago, I used to play softball for recreation with friends, and one time I went to an acupuncture appointment beforehand, and I went to play a game. And people were shocked, like nothing got by me. I was just like, I'm in the flow, boom, boom, throwing people out. But then I also have it with painting, where I'm just in that flow, where I can feel like, ah, like I can sense the spirit guide is telling me what to do. So it's that same way in your life. See, your spirit guides are here to help you with that next step in your life, to help you grow spiritually, to help you step into who you're meant to be, do, or have. Because there's a being. One of the biggest things my spirit guides have been telling me now is that you have to be who you're supposed to be before you're going to do your purpose. And I've only recently gotten that in the last couple months. And that was like a big aha for me too. Like I was always trying to do my purpose. How about you? Do you have a purpose that you've been trying to do, or you've wondered about what you're supposed to do? I'm curious if anybody has. I'd love to have you share it in the comments in the chat. And now I've taken it a step back. I like, no, I got to be it first. And so my personal spirit guide, my purpose spirit guide was always telling me, that be you, be you. And for a long time, I'd be like, what is that? I think I am, but and I have a whole episode on that I just put out on just being and being you. So, but how do you actually step into that? And when you're in the divine flow, you're being the ultimate you, because you're this divine soul, this divine being that we forget that we're that when we're working or doing, the shoulds or have tos, or especially if you're coming from the logical, practical place, like with art, they have a bunch of rules on how you're supposed to do things. And when I first started taking art, it would actually kind of mess me up, because I'd be like, oh, the rules, the rules of thirds, and the complementary colors, and the this, and it would get on me, and like, oh, and I finally let all that go. I don't even pay attention to those rules anymore, because they took me out of divine flow. And so there are rules, but I tell people they're made up. Most rules are all made up. If you really get in that divine flow, what you create will be beautiful. Whether it's a book, a song, an art, whether you're creating words that you want to inspire people, when you're in the flow, those words of inspiration will lift people up. When you're in the flow, you'll create art that truly inspires people. So I'd love it for those of you who are allowed to share. Is there a form of creativity that you do, or is there like an interest that you have in like getting to know your spirit guides? Because I found when I got to know mine, when they started coming to me, that changed my whole perspective on how I was handling my life, and for the better. That I stopped being so much in my logical, practical mind, because I don't know about you, but I was raised to be logical and practical. Logical, practical, responsible. Any of you been raised that way, that you were raised to do that? I'm curious. I'd love to see it if you were. And I let that voice rule me and make my decisions for years. And when I started to get a deeper connection with my spirit guides, it was not logical, practical, or at all. And I had to start to let go of that. In fact, I heard it from Sandy Gallagher with Bob Proctor. She said something one time. I heard her say, "Do the illogical," and I'm like, "That's the perfect saying for me." Do the illogical, because I was so ruled by that logic. And so when my spirit guides started giving me messages, they were not logical at all. In fact, I didn't even know, like, when I would do it, like, would it work? Like, the whole thing of me, like, channeling someone's personal spirit guide portal, I was, given a download that, I could tune into someone's energy and do it. I did not know I could do it. I got the download of put it on your website and how to do it. So I put it on my website and didn't tell a soul for over a year, because for me, my logical, practical mind was like, I don't know if I can do that. Until I came out of the spiritual closet and realized, like, oh, wait a minute. I want to stop hiding this stuff about spirit guides. This is who I am. This is what's coming through me. I want to start sharing it. And so I got up in the middle of a business meeting, where you got to announce, you do business trainings and stuff. They'll let you get up and say what you do. Well, I got up and talked about spirit guides because I'm like, I'm coming out of the closet on it. And when I did that, the next day we went home, and I got home and there was an email from someone saying, and I'd never done one before, I had put it on my website to follow divine guidance, because I was at that place where I followed divine guidance, even though it didn't make sense. Or any practical or logical sense, I would follow it as best I could. And I felt like, well, they said put it up on my website, so I did. They didn't say I had to go around and tell people. So, but when I got up and I said something, in the business meeting, the next day there was an email telling me someone who wanted to get a personal spirit guide portal. And I realized at that point that how important acting on your guidance is, but not just acting on it, because I acted on it, I put it up, but not hiding yourself. And that's why I'm doing this class on Connect to Your Purpose Spirit Guide, because my Purpose Spirit Guide has just been coming in, that how important it is for you to be you, to be your authentic self, to not hide yourself, to let yourself be fully out there, because that's what's going to make everything, that's what really puts you in divine flow too, is when you're acting on your truth. Okay. Now, this ritual I'm showing you is that intention to put your attention there. Okay. Now, obviously, if you're in your divine flow all the time, you don't need the ritual. But if you're not, this is something that can help you. Okay. Oh, Cygnus, let's see. Oh, you're into art. Cygnus, I need to find my purpose. Always letting that voice rule me, and I've been trying to find ways to quiet it. Cygnus, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, when that voice comes up, it puts the brakes on you, right? You just spin out, like you don't seem to be able to move forward. Or if what I hear a lot of people tell me is they'll start and stop. You do that? They feel confident one day about what their purpose is, and then all of a sudden, they're not, because the next day they're about doubt. You might want to check out my Connect to Your Purpose Spirit Guide class. In fact, I'll put the banner up. It's where you can go to it. It's deepalu.com training. And that's where the information is on my Connect to Your Purpose Spirit Guide program. So I'd love to see anybody who would like to be in it to come, because it's going to be about learning how to connect with your spirit guides so that you can be in that divine flow. But they communicated to me the most important part was about helping you to connect with your purpose spirit guide that's going to help you be the true you. Because they were really clear to me that you will continue to struggle, and they say you as in anybody, anybody who's watching this, you will continue to struggle if you're not being true to you. Now, being true to you is being true to what's in your heart, being your authentic self. And I can't remember the name of the top. There's a video on my page. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe, because I'm going to do more of these lives, these Spirit and Art Time lives, and share more of my process. And we're even going to paint together. So Cygnus, if you do art, and I don't know if you paint, I'd love to hear what your medium is, Cygnus. And I might be saying your name wrong. If I ever style you on Zoom, it'd be great to make sure that I'm pronouncing it correctly. Because I like to pronounce people's names correctly. But I'd love it if you shared what your medium is, because you say art, but that you could be doing collages or something like that. It doesn't have to be the medium I'm doing. I use oil paints. And the reason why I love oil painting, if anybody's new to creating art, painting in any way, oil painting is so forgiving. I play around with watercolors, but I do not know how to control that medium. Sometimes I'm putting stuff on and that's not what I meant to happen. So I have to really be in the divine flow when I'm doing watercolors to like just be with what is and not necessarily what I think I want to create. So, oh, I'm saying your name correctly. Yay. Thank you, Cygnus. I'm glad I am. Oh, digital art. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, you can do some amazing things with digital art. I don't know what you do, but I've taken one of my paintings once and did some stuff, and it made it look like this totally cool, different look, So, but yeah, it'd be cool to see some of yours. Um, yeah, really cool. I don't know much about digital art, but I've seen some of it. So the whole thing here is the awareness, okay? When you're practicing to be in that divine flow, you have to be practicing noticing when you're not, because it's so habitual to not be in it that you have to start to recognize when you're not in it. So I have a video up, and I can't remember what the name is off the top of my head. But it's one of the last couple where, it's in the Just Be. I think it's the one I just put up. That if you want to hear more about what's not being, because just being is about being the true you. Okay, just be. That there's a question mark. Just be, and people kind of have a meaning that they think it means. But I was given a download to like what the whole like true meaning of just be is, and they had me talk about what it's not being and what it is and how you start to be it. So check that out. That if you have some challenges with that. So, but I'm going to be doing another live similar to this. I wait for divine guidance on what the topic is, but my time slot is going to be Thursday at 3:30 for it. So I'd love for you, if you're not currently subscribed to my channel, that you subscribe. And if you like this, give me a thumbs up. It all helps me turn on your notifications. And if this would help anybody that you know, please be a blessing in the world and share it with somebody. Because, it's all about how can we bless more people? And blessing people is about sharing something that helps you or inspires you with other people so they can be helped and inspired to choose their higher self, to choose their divine flow. All right. So just opening up, if there's any questions about anything I said, because I knew I did a lot of stuff and I know that the sound went out for a little bit. If you have a question, I'd love it if you put it in there. If there's something that the sound was out that I didn't, that you missed, because I don't know exactly where the sound went out when I was talking. So please, I'll wait a minute or two and see if there's any questions that come through. And like I said, I'm going to be doing, I think it's next week that I'm going to be doing the next one. If it's not next week, it's the week after, but subscribe and you'll get notified. I have to do a little meditation and find out where the focus is of it, but it definitely will be here in the art studio. I might even paint. So, I'm going to give it a couple more minutes just for, because I haven't seen a question come through yet, but I'd love to hear any comments about, your challenges being in divine flow, if you want to share that. And if you're an artist of some sort, again, it can be a musician, could be a writer. I'd love for you to share that in the comments so I can see what those are. All righty. Well, it doesn't look like any questions are coming through, but thank you so much for being here. It is a blessing in my heart to get to share my spiritual insights with you. I'm Deepa Liu. I call myself the Creative Mystic on my channel because I'm here about helping you find your greatness and let your greatness out. Let you shine your light. Okay, because I know the more people that shine their light in the world become a better place. All right. Blessings. Have a miraculous day. Oh, you're welcome, Cygnus. Thank you for being there. And thank you for sharing, Cygnus, and participating. It always makes it so much more fun for me when I actually get to hear what people are thinking. Oh, you're welcome, Amira. Thank you again for sharing about the sound, because I would not have noticed it without the TV sharing that. All right. Take care. Blessings, everybody.